Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I feel like a portion of what's going on is between euphoria and absolute dystopian levels of fear. If you've seen any of the last weeks of videos, like recently, we've been getting a very large dose of debt news, debt discussions, debt falling apart, de-dollarization kind of stuff. That's the hyper dystopian one world currency that we currently have is literally collapsing in front of our eyes kind of thing. The other side, being the euphoric side, seems to be coming from recent Bitcoin price movements and apparent indications that Bitcoin is moving very soonly over to $1 million per coin. This has kind of, it's not like they weren't here all the time. A number of Bitcoin maximalists recently have kind of been openly celebrating and talking about that this is kind of like the first step of where we're going to go forever. Michael Saylor was recently in the news discussing and saying, and I mean exactly what I just said. He said Bitcoin's going up forever. His idea is that as long as, he's not the only one who's thought of this. As long as you can continuously print money, print fiat currencies, that money then can essentially be pushed into the Bitcoin market. The more money that can be pushed into the Bitcoin market, the higher Bitcoin's price goes. Bitcoin is finite. Fiat currencies are not finite. However, with recent price movements, a lot of these people are... And I'll preface all of this by saying I agree wholeheartedly. This isn't cynical. This isn't me being like, I don't really know. No, I agree with all of it. I'm just quite exhausted in this, like, the word's not narrative. It's just more of a, this happens every single day. This happens all the time. And it seems to only click for people when prices go higher and they realize that they could have bought in lower. Bitcoin is obviously going to $1 million, but I think not a lot of people want to hear that because they don't think that it's going to happen. And then when it does happen, there's this like level of regret that they then fly into the market and cause prices to go a lot higher for the people who were buying before kind of thing. There's a really weird thing, remember months ago I was talking about the idea of like abundance. We have, luckily, at least depending on where you live, we live in a world of relative abundance. You go to the supermarket, there's usually going to be stuff on every single shelf and every single aisle. You go to buy a car, there's hundreds of cars for you to buy. You don't really have to go, well, that's the only one that's there. I need that one. You want to buy a computer, you want to buy a phone, we live in a world of abundance. So the idea of digital scarcity, it makes sense. You understand the words, but you don't really get it. Every time that we keep hearing one of these companies announcing daily that they're going to be buying $800 million, $1 billion, $4 billion worth of Bitcoin. They're literally buying it and they never plan on relinquishing it because all these people are buying it, waiting for the price to go higher and also waiting to stake their Bitcoin so that they never, ever, ever, ever have to sell it. Samson Mow, the CEO of the company called Jan3, and I recollect that he used to work for Blockstream as well. Recently, with a number of other Bitcoin maximalists, were in the news reacting to Bitcoin's recent price movements, announcing that it's only going to get crazier from here. Mao tweeted, that you are not too late. There is still a possibility of buying Bitcoin for less than 200,000 US dollars. He reminded everyone that the Bitcoin supply is being drained rapidly by ETFs and Bitcoin treasury companies. And he said, is it any reason why the institutions are buying so aggressively right now? And then he said the thing that I've been saying for a very long time. There's not enough Bitcoin for everyone. He even did a little hashtag Bitcoin there. I know that a lot of you get it. I know that a lot of you understand. Maybe even after this video, you'll have the little light bulb go ding and you'll go, okay, cool, I get it. We are living in very weird, unprecedented times. It is looking like, based off of my own research and general knowledge from having had these channels for almost a decade, that we are on the cusp of seeing zero Bitcoin available on crypto exchanges. And then you'll sit there and go and try and be a smart aleck and go, well, there's still this much Bitcoin. The problem is all that Bitcoin is not, I almost said legal, is not liquid. We are witnessing hyper Bitcoinification. We are witnessing these people taking all of this new asset class for themselves. If you missed one of the other videos, the amount of Ether on crypto exchanges has not been this low since 2015. All these companies are buying all of it before we get proper word that all the ETFs can do staking and that they can all do in-kind redemptions as well. There are three companies that own 88% of the US stock market. Google it. Imagine, even crazier, that one of these companies right now is also buying up Bitcoin. It's BlackRock. We're going to get to a point where we will maybe have 100 or 200 companies that own 95% of all the Bitcoin. For those of you who don't remember, 95% is what the whales currently have. That number will eventually be 97%. That number will eventually be 99%. It's not difficult to predict the future when it's always, if something happens every single day, you're looking at a pattern. We're going to get to the point where the general public will realize that there's not enough Bitcoin for everyone. And I know what's going to happen. They're going to get really angry and annoyed because they're going to go, that's not fair. We don't have any Bitcoin. We haven't bought any. Why did they get to have all of it? It's the same thing I told you the first time years ago when we heard that 80%, if you weren't here, 80% of all the Bitcoin in the hands of however many wallet addresses. And I had to go over with it with everyone because I saw so many people so angry. That's centralization. It's not right. A lot of people heard about Bitcoin in 2010 and did nothing. A lot of people heard about Bitcoin when it went to $100 and then fell back to $1 and then laughed at everyone who bought it for $100. When Bitcoin went to $1,200, that was when I first heard about it because it was on the news. And I remember the price fell back down to $100 and everyone, I was like, have you heard about this thing yet? It's garbage. It's digital money. No one needs it. And I was like, okay, cool. I also won't buy it. Bitcoin goes to 10,000, falls back down to 3,000. Nobody wants it. It's the same loop over and over. You know what all these people have been doing all these years? Every time that people were afraid to buy or thought prices were going to go lower, they bought up Bitcoin. You know what happens when you buy up an asset for 12, 13, 14, 15 years? You own all of it. You know what happens when a company announces we have 137,000 Bitcoin? They're trying to buy all of it. There's literally not enough. And I think that that entire narrative is so, it's not even played out at this point. It doesn't even exist. There was never There was never enough Bitcoin for everyone. We don't have only 21 million people on this planet. The moment someone bought 3 Bitcoin, they already took from other people. The moment somebody had 3,800 Bitcoin, they took from thousands of other people. But even then, that doesn't make sense because we're not only 21 million people on the planet. When Bitcoin goes to $1 million, I have to keep saying this. Remember these moments. Do everything you can to remember in the future that you had the chance, and remember when you got into the market. That's the part that's going to sting for a lot of people. A lot of people got into the market when XRP was less than a penny. It goes to $1, everybody wants it. A lot of people heard about Bitcoin at $1, $2, $3, $4, $7,000, $14,000, $22,000. Paid no mind to it. Bitcoin goes to $1 million. They're going to be, I'm telling you, I know how people are. Humans are always the same. It's very draining, actually. Make sure to use this opportunity while you have it. There's something really weird going on with all this talk of debt and collapse, and this is falling, and this is so-and-so, and all these people are shifting their money. Imagine if we had heard for the last 2 years. I'm giving you a good 2. If we had heard for the last 2 years that all these billionaires, all these hundreds of companies were buying gold, I would go, gosh darn it, something's going on with gold. If we had heard that all these companies daily announcing $1 billion into Bitcoin, if they said, we're going to buy real estate, I would go, guys, something's off. We got to start buying a lot of real estate. They're all announcing Bitcoin. Governments as well. Didn't it seem a little weird when all these governments and BlackRock spend 30, 40, 50, 60 billion US dollars on Bitcoin and not on gold, on Bitcoin and not on real estate? Imagine if we got news every single day. BlackRock just bought 13,000 new homes. We'd be like, okay. But the fact that it's Bitcoin, people are like, well, we'll see where the price goes. I don't get it. It's very weird. So yes, the supply is draining very fast. There's not enough Bitcoin for everyone. A lot of people are going to be annoyed and regretful in the future. Understand where you are in the market right now and what you can do and the things you're capable of and how much money you can make and what proper investing looks like. So hopefully everyone is making the most out of all of this before it's like completely unobtainable. If 67% of people in America don't have access to $500, I have to keep saying it because it's the only way that it's going to make sense to you. 67% of people within the United States are broker than broke. They could not find access to $500, nonetheless $1,000. What do you think the percentage of Americans is who don't have access to $5,000? And if they did, if that 85% of people did have access to $5,000, do you think they'd put that $5,000 into Bitcoin, or would they use it to pay their rent and something else? There's a reason why this is all happening right now and why the rich people are buying up huge amounts of Bitcoin while everyone else isn't and can't pay attention. You should be paying attention. This is the news that we get every 24 hours. I hope you've all enjoyed. Hope you've all been paying attention. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.